Hey guys, welcome in to the Bro 4 Squad podcast, where unlike Themyscira, where it is only women, here, unfortunately, and for you, it's just guys. Tonight, we are going to review Wonder Woman, directed by Patty Jenkins, just released the newest installment in the DCEU. I'm your host, Jeff Hornacek. With me, as always, in the lab is the mad scientist, Brian Banner. Brian, welcome.
Thank you. I can promise you guys in my lab, I do not cook up poisons like this.
Okay. Thank goodness. And also a very special guest with us, the guy who runs Geek Motivation, our good friend, Preston. Preston, thanks for jumping on, man.
What's up, y'all? I'm excited to be here.
I'm jacked up. I wish that we had, for intro music, that sick guitar riff that Wonder Woman gets. I make it sound like cats. All right, guys, before we get started, Preston runs Geek Motivation, which is a website you guys all need to check out, geekmotivation.live. Basically, in this clickbait world we live in, they are the anti-clickbait, give you all the best news on superhero movies and movies in general. Really trustworthy. Also, be sure to follow them if you're not on Twitter, at Geek Motivation. And then check out their podcast, which you can subscribe to in the description on here, the Amazing Fantasy News Podcast. All that good stuff that you need to get to stay up to date with all your favorite movie news. And as we do with all of our reviews, we grade everything on 5 criteria: the cast, the story, our favorite scene, any lasting impact, and rewatchability. And as you can tell by the description, this is a spoilers-heavy review because this movie is too awesome not to tell every detail of it. So Preston, we all just got back from the movie. It's fresh in our minds. What did you think, or who stood out to you in the cast or some of the acting in Wonder Woman?
Who stood out to me the most was Chris Pine, I gotta say. I thought he nailed it. I thought he did so well. And he just had a presence on screen where, like, anyone he was with, whether it was Gal Gadot or, I don't even know the actress, the lady who played his secretary, his actual secretary.
Yeah.
Whoever he was on screen with, he just had chemistry with. And I think he just really, really took that role and went with it. He blew me away. He was great.
He was like the John Stockton of this cast. Like, maybe he himself wasn't like the biggest standout, but every time he was with someone else on screen, he made them shine a lot, I felt like.
Absolutely.
Banner, what do you think about the acting and cast?
I'm going to leave the low-hanging fruit of Gal Gadot to you. I'm going to go with our kind of villain, David Thewlis. I don't know how to say that, but he is awesome. He played Lupin in the Harry Potter movies. I thought he did a very, very good job for being a little older, but yet still believable that he's been around for this long and he can – why his motivations were who he was. Obviously, there's the big twist of him being Ares. You didn't know that until the end. I thought he did a very, very good job, and they did a good job at kind of hiding that for a lot of the movie.
He is like the quintessential awesome British menacing villain. And yeah, it is low-hanging fruit, but Gal Gadot, I do not have enough superlatives to describe how awesome she is. I don't know about you guys, when she got cast as Wonder Woman, I didn't have much of a foundation to really judge her on, but I was like, I don't know if she can act. Preston, what did you think when they first cast her, and then what do you think now? Because she blew me away in this.
When they cast her, I was a little hesitant to say anything. I didn't know anything about her, so I didn't really have, like you said, I didn't have a basis for any argument for or against her. Since then, she's proven to me that she's a really good actress. She hasn't blown me away yet. I can't say that I'm fully confident in her acting, but everything I've seen has been good. Nothing has been like, wow, this is fantastic, cast her in every movie.
Right.
Like I am with a couple other actors and actresses.
Matthew McConaughey for me.
There you go. Yeah, but I haven't seen anything that absolutely, like, blows me away. However, I haven't seen anything that makes me think she's not a good actress, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And this was one of those movies where it was like, if she couldn't act or couldn't hold her own, we would have noticed it pretty quickly. So, on to the story and plot. And again, guys, this is a spoiler-heavy review, as you can see in the description. Preston, what are your thoughts on the story? And I know there's a lot of easy comparisons to make to the original Captain America movie. I think this made some nice pivots away from it while still being very unique, but I'm interested to hear your take on it.
I thought the plot was really, really good. It flowed well. The whole story did. It just, one event led to the other, and it was all really cohesive, and it was able to follow really quickly. Because this was a long movie.
It was.
It didn't feel that long, though.
It didn't, exactly. You didn't know it was a long movie when you were watching it, because it just worked, and you were interested the whole time. There wasn't any moment, in my experience, where I was like, okay, but what's next? Like, the whole time I was very into it, and I was really engaged, and that was really good for me. I enjoyed that.
I think we've all seen, like, hour-and-a-half movies where we say, is this thing going to end anytime soon? And so to say that a 2.5-hour movie did not feel long, I think is a great compliment. Banner, how can you piggyback on that?
I will say I love how they told this story. This is a very self-contained story. It's an origin story, but yet it still adds to the greater DCEU with how they opened it and how they ended it. I think it's always great when you get Batman without actually getting Batman in there, and you really get the Bruce Wayne. And that's not a knock on Batman. That sounded like I was just shitting on Batman. But it was how Bruce Wayne of a thing is it to go, hey, you've been looking for this? Oh, hey, I found it. Tell me if you want. I hope I hear the story. And then her reminiscing about the story and, again, building that relationship between Wonder Woman and Batman for the greater DCEU, I think was brilliant in how they did it. And then, again, the twist of her chasing Ares the whole movie and her actually not chasing Ares the whole movie. I thought that was great. Jeff?
Yeah, to Preston's point, I think this movie had awesome pacing because there were really only 3 big action set pieces in the movie, and a lot of times when you only have 3 action set pieces in a 2.5-hour movie, it can feel like it's like stopping and then ramping up really quickly. I didn't feel like that at all, and I felt like the second act, especially this movie, basically from when they get to London kind of until the end of the No Man's Land scene was one of the best second acts in any superhero movie I've ever seen. It was really cool. My favorite category is our next one, Best Scene. Now, this has been a tough one. We had a little pre-pod debate on who was going to take what. So, Preston, what are you going to go with as your favorite scene in Wonder Woman?
I have thought a lot about it, and I got to go with the No Man's Land scene.
Yeah.
That was just... It was spectacular. And there were so many other scenes that were so good. But the No Man's Land scene was really where we saw her kind of like, you know, take matters into her own hands and just kind of be like, listen, I'm a superhero. This is what I do. From that moment on, you knew, like, she meant business. And it was real, and it was awesome.
I told Brian before the pod that No Man's Land scene is where I hope that a lot of little girls are going to see her and be like, I'm being Wonder Woman for Halloween. And I told my roommate, I was like, forget that, I'm being Wonder Woman for Halloween after seeing that scene. Brian, what was your favorite scene in Wonder Woman?
My favorite scene, and this is going to be kind of anti-Broforce squad here, mine was actually the Exposition?
Exposition? Is that what you mean?
That's exactly what I was trying to say. Of Ares at the beginning when they're telling the story of Ares corrupting men and how he killed Zeus and blah, 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 all of that. They did a really good job of telling us what we needed to know relatively quickly, but keeping it interesting enough to where the rest of the movie made sense. Because if you take that out, you're kind of like, well, what's going on? And they didn't shoehorn it into the middle of the movie. They straight up at the beginning said, hey, this is what you need to know for the rest of the movie to make sense. Okay, now we can get to the rest of the movie.
The way they described Ares, I was like, I think Ares was my JV basketball coach.
I'm pretty sure he was.
Okay.
Pretty sure he was.
Just want to double check. My favorite scene...
Something... I'm going to interrupt.
No, go for
it. Something I liked about that scene in particular was how they on the screen, they showed young Diana training while they were telling the story. So they were kind of furthering the plot in both of those aspects. They were still telling the backstory of Ares, but they were also showing that beginning of Diana training against her mother's rules, you know.
That's a great point.
That was really cool how they utilized both of those plot points at the same time.
Yeah, that's a great point, because one thing I always felt like in Man of Steel is I wish they were on Krypton longer, but I get in an origin story you can't stay on the home planet that long. You need to grow this character up and age them. So to do something like you said kind of accomplishes both. My best scene, and this was Preston's runner-up, I know we talked before, was when the Germans stormed the beach on Themyscira. Just so awesome, incredible choreography. And no matter whether you like the DCEU movies or not, they know how to do action and fight scenes. Like, they have proven that time and time again, and this was the textbook example of that. All right, any effect on pop culture or the lasting impact? I think going in, we were hoping this would be successful so that it could do a lot for not only female superhero movies, but just superhero movies in general. Preston, now that you've seen it and you liked it, what are your thoughts on what this is going to do for either the DCEU or just movies going forward?
It's huge in all aspects. It accomplished everything it needed to. And like, this movie needed to be good for so many reasons.
Yeah.
First and foremost, to show little girls and women around the world, you know, you can be a superhero too, even though we haven't shown you a movie where you can be until now. So this movie really accomplished that and really made that a point. But it was also important for it to be good because the DCEU hasn't had a critical success yet. And they need one bad. And they got it. So this movie, I think it was going to leave a big impact no matter what. But the fact that it is so good and the fact that it's being received so well is like huge. And it just multiplies that impact exponentially.
Perfectly said. I'll go real quick. The only thing I can echo is a lot of people out there may say, oh, well, I think the critics just gave this a good review to get people off their backs or to placate the people out there that would say that they're hating on an only female-led superhero movie. And after seeing it, I can assure anyone out there that that is not the case. This is actually an incredible movie. Banner, Preston pretty much hit all the check boxes that I had. What do you have for impact on pop culture?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things that I wrote down is, first up, DCU is not going away. And this movie proved it. I know there's like, hey, because it hasn't been, these movies haven't been received critically very well, people are like, hey, are they going to keep doing this? How is this going to happen? They're not going away. This movie knocked it out of the park. This movie also made the other movies better. I think this movie made Batman vs. Superman better because they teased the picture in Batman vs. Superman. That's what Wonder Woman's looking for in that movie. Now we know why. Because of how much Chris Pine's character means to her. Warner Brothers may almost know what they're doing. I hate to admit it, but really, if they've had this planned out, which obviously they've had it planned out for at least one movie, I think they know what they're doing. I'm not going to say they know what they're doing, but they may be in an upward trajectory.
Last category, rewatchability. Preston, are you going to see this again? Are they getting any more of your money, whether it's in theaters to see it in 3D if you didn't this time or on Blu-ray?
I am absolutely buying this so I can see it again. I don't know if I even have time to see it in theaters. I want to see it again in theaters, and if I could, I would.
I'll say this. I think this may be the first DCEU movie, and I think Patty Jenkins already said this, so it kind of goes without saying, but they don't need an extended cut. They got it right with what they put in theaters. They're getting my money again. I'm going to go see this in theaters again. The second it ended, my roommate and I made a joke about like hiding in the trash cans just to watch the next showing of it. Banner, rewatchability.
That's why you were so late.
Yeah. I like Oscar the Grouch. I just live in a trash can. Banner, rewatchability for you.
Take my money. It's right here. Just take it. Kind of like Preston, if I can find, the time. I'm actually, you know what? I think I can catch the midnight showing tonight. So I think I may run and go do that. I know I have work in the morning, but
they'll understand.
Yeah, they get it.
All right, guys. For Preston and Brian, we are the Bro Force Squad podcast. We appreciate you coming on, Preston. I'm Jeff Hornacek. Be sure to check out all the great work Preston and his crew are doing over at Geek Motivation at geekmotivation.live. Follow them at Twitter at Geek Motivation and subscribe to their awesome podcast in the description here, the Amazing Fantasy News Podcast. For more Brian and I and Geiger sounding like idiots, check us out at broforcesquad.com. Follow us on Twitter at broforcesquad and subscribe to us on YouTube and iTunes. Bro4Squad, 3 words. Thank you guys. Now we need to go look for that bubble in the middle of the ocean where the rest of the Amazonian